And hello, everybody. Hi. Hello, Ricardo. Nice to see you.
Hello, Michael. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very happy you're here. And hi to everyone watching. If there is something strange with the audio levels, please tell us if I'm too loud or Ricardo is too loud. But I'm very excited to have Ricardo Saeb here with me. This has been kind of a while in the making. Ricardo is actually a regular contributor in the comments section, so everyone has to ask him lots of questions and return the favor. And I'm very excited to talk about his CD Zephyr, which is our sort of topic tonight. But first, I'll just ask if you could introduce yourself briefly, Ricardo, and tell people what you do, and then we'll listen to some of your playing.
Sure. Well, I'm Ricardo Saeb. I'm a classical guitarist, and I'm originally from Mexico. I live now in Buffalo, New York, where I'm based, and I teach here privately, and also I run a community program here, and play concerts. And now I'm released. I just had the opportunity now that I'm here in Buffalo to release this album that I'm so happy to share with everybody.
Awesome. And the album, what record company is the album with again?
It's with Fleur de Son.
Okay.
Fleur de Son Classics. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay. Well, I thought to start with, so people can think of some questions about the album and stuff, we could listen to something from it. Maybe we could listen to these Gerardo Tames, the Platerias.
That sounds great.
Do you want to
Do you
tell
want me?
people? Sorry?
Yeah. Do you want me to say something about the piece?
Yes, please do, because I don't know anything about these pieces because I didn't do too much research. So this is nice because I can be surprised then, you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. So platerias means silversmithing. They're one of the oldest and still running guitar festivals in Mexico is the guitar festival in Tasco. And Tasco is a city in the center part of Mexico that is very well known for its silversmithing. So this piece was commissioned for the competition in that festival. And the name is silversmithing, and it's kind of like a soundscape. You know, it has a lot of harmonics and different effects to like kind of describe a little bit of the landscape of Tasco. And the composer is Gerardo Tames.
Nice. Yeah, and you were telling me actually in our conversation earlier that his music is quite known in Mexico, but maybe not so much outside. So it's awesome that you put this on the CD as well, so that you can kind of get it heard, you know, elsewhere as well. So
yeah. I mean, he's very, very well established in Mexico. He used to have a group that it was called Los Folcloristas, in which they will play folklore music of around Latin America, South America, and back in I think this was back in the 70s or 80s. So and him together with Julio Cesar Oliva that came out from this group, and they are some of the most like well-known guitar composers in Mexico. So I'm very happy to include this in the album.
Cool. Nice. Wonderful. Okay, and Adam Ciccoletti says, good afternoon. I enjoyed the performance of the Ponce during the introduction. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. Yes. Wonderful Ponce recording. Okay, let's listen to the Platerias by Gerardo Tames, and then we will be back to take all of your questions. Wonderful. In the words of Adam in the chat, so precise. This guy rocks.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your positive comments. Oh, he wanted us to repeat the name of the piece.
Platerías. It comes from the word plata, that it means silver. Platerías.
So silversmithing.
Mm-hmm.
By Gerardo Tames. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And Samuel Laroche-Page says, listening from a musical camp, teaching there, great guitarist. Awesome. Good luck in your camp, Samuel. Actually, that brings me to ask you, I noticed on your bio that you've started some interesting teaching initiatives where you are, and you do some different stuff, right? So how has it been for you moving to the new city and sort of getting set up there teaching, and what does your teaching life look like at the moment, and maybe both before and during the pandemic?
Well, so my wife and I moved here to Buffalo. What has it been? Almost 3 years ago. And at the beginning, it was a little bit tricky because we moved here without knowing anybody. And but I was very lucky. Like everybody welcomed me with like open arms, and they invited me. The Hispanic Heritage Council of Western New York invited me to be part of the board of directors, and this is an organization that doesn't have anything to do with classical guitar. It's not an arts organization, but one of the projects that was going on was like building a cultural institute. So I came up with the idea of generating this thing that we call now the HHC Guitar Initiative, which we give free guitar lessons for children of underserved populations, and we bring international artists to perform for free for the community. And it has been one of the most rewarding projects that I've been into. I've been looking like into doing this, but I came here to the States first to study, and then I stayed here. And so I never had the time to actually pursue this. But now that we're here in Buffalo and that we're finally settling in, it was the perfect opportunity to do that. So I've been doing that program. And also I was very lucky. I get to meet Joan Castellani and Michael Andriaccio, the famous Castellani-Andriaccio guitar duo, and who are also the directors of the Joan Faletta guitar competition here in Buffalo. And also I got invited to teach in their studio. So yeah, I can't complain about Buffalo. They've been receiving me here very well, and I'm very, very happy to be doing these two things besides performing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they were very welcoming, but you also contribute a lot right away to the community, which makes a big difference, right? And that's why it's important when someone moves to your town to be welcoming, because you never know what they will contribute, to your community in different ways. And so, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I guess also probably part of the fact that you can do some projects like this is because you finished the doctorate, right? Which takes up a lot of your time, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
then,
Well,
how did the CD
yeah.
come about after that?
How did the CD come out?
Yeah, come about,
Well,
like it was around that time after you moved to Buffalo that you planned it, right?
yeah, so it's same thing, it's I'm pretty sure that you have experienced the same thing moving to the Netherlands, that when you're like an immigrant, like when you're like an international student, like you don't have a lot of time to do different things. So when I was studying here, whenever I had a break, like Christmas break or summer, I would go back home instead of staying here develop different projects or anything like that. So now that we finally said that we're going to stay here and we're settling, it gave me the opportunity to do all of these projects that I've always wanted to do, and I just never had the time. So I recorded this album here in Buffalo at one of the museums here. That is the Birchville Penny Art Center. They have this beautiful auditorium of like around 200 people, and it's just a beautiful acoustic for the guitar. And the album was recorded with a Fleur de Son recording label, which is owned and directed by Michael Andriaccio and Joan Castellani. So it was a really nice project because it was doing this album with friends, actually, and Michael and Joan were the executive producers, and we had sound engineering of Dave Dossman, who had so Fleur de Son released the recordings of the winners of the Joan Faletta guitar competition. So and Dave is the producer, and the sound engineer. So he has plenty of experience of recording guitar, and it was a great experience. I was very happy to do that. So we recorded that on December 2019. And we were gonna release it on the summer of 2020, but then the pandemic hit, and we ended up releasing it on November of 2020 instead.
Okay, cool, nice. I mean, it's so important to know the people you work with, especially the audio engineer and the producers, right? Because, well, I mean, it's a catch-22, I guess, because the more control you have over the editing and production, the more picky and time you can spend sort of delaying things. And I'm having that experience right now. I'm in the midst of recording my CD myself and editing it myself, and it's a little paralyzing sometimes because you can just like spend all day like, oh, I'm just going to re-record this. Oh, then I'm going to record this, and then I'm going to change this, and yeah, it's never ending. But at the same time, like knowing the people you're working with well and having them as friends probably makes a difference because, well, you have a little more say maybe, or at least a little more awareness of how they work, and you can trust them more easily. And that must have been very nice to work with people that you were already comfortable with.
Oh yeah. Like it's definitely different because so for instance, I do a lot of videos, right? I use the time of the pandemic to actually put a lot of videos out there on YouTube. So if you have time, go to my YouTube channel and
yes, it's in the description. Just below. Yeah.
Awesome. And like so like that, I am the sole like
creative
brain ears behind the project, and as you say, like it can be paralyzing. I mean, my wife is the one that actually like pushes me to like just
put it out.
Yeah, put it out, because otherwise like I can just say like, no, this is not good enough, And with it was very nice with the recording because with Michael, it's a little bit of having ears that actually are listening to the flow of the piece in general, and they're not aware of everything that each one of us like always look for, like, because we all know what our shortcomings are, right? So like if you already know that you have this thing that you struggle with, you're only listening to that G, for instance, like they say, oh, that G, that open string didn't sound right or whatever. And it's very nice to have somebody that is able to just listen to the piece and say, this flows like this flows, So it was a nice experience, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to change how I'm also doing this thing now where when I'm editing, I'm like, if I have 4 takes of like a phrase and I'm like, okay, because you go, when you're editing, you can go phrase by phrase, especially when it's just audio. When it's synced to a video, you have the problem of like, well, it has to match the video. But when you do just audio, you can be even more picky. And even if I'm like 2 out of the 4, I'm like, they're okay, but they're not very good, I'll just put it in and then like go away for a day and listen back to that piece while I'm doing something else, which sounds weird way to check it, but if something pulls me out of whatever else I'm doing because it disturbs me, then I know it's actually bad. And if I can just listen to it, be like, oh, it's nice, it's working, the whole time, then I know like it's not gonna bother other people, it's just me, And of course you have to send to friends. I mean, if you're doing something yourself, you need a second pair of ears. So I'm always bugging, Nathan Bredesen can tell you how many times I've been like, Nathan, I put a new thing in Dropbox. Listen to it and tell me what you think. But like you say though, it's hard to do the editing yourself because you get bogged down with those little things, and someone else who's editing and just listening to the piece as a whole is not gonna, who's not you is going to maybe do a better job of filtering that out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, like even musically speaking, like I was don't remember who I was talking to. Uh, since I was starting to play the guitar, like my dad actually has some musical background. He studied music. He played a little bit of violin, but my mom didn't, and I would rely more on my mom's take. So, like for instance, I will be playing something, like for instance, something Japanese, and I will ask my mom, what does this piece like sound like? And she will tell me like, oh, well, it sounds like Latin American. And then I knew that I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So like it made me think a lot about like, well, what am I doing wrong that it doesn't sound like what I'm intending to do? And it enriched a lot my my vocabulary and my and the way that I perceive music, you know. So always having an outsider kind of like telling you a little bit of feedback is always a good thing, I think, for the
Definitely.
art's sake.
Yeah, and someone who doesn't play your instrument, or better yet, doesn't do music professionally, it can be really good because they have just a fresh perspective, I guess. Yeah, for sure. Anyways, I'm glad the recording process was good for you. And so we should maybe talk through the repertoire. What's on the CD exactly? You have Turina. Right.
Yeah, I have. I tried to do a little bit of everything, but it it was pointed out after like when the reviews were released that I didn't realize that most of it is Spanish speaking composers. So my bad. I tried to do a little bit of everything in the style, but it's still.
Yeah, but I mean,
so
it's not bad to have a theme, you know, or it doesn't not bad to have a thing that ties the pieces together. And it's kind of better if the thing that ties them together was unconscious in a way too, because it just shows your maybe, you know,
preference, I guess, right?
Or something, yeah.
So for instance, I include an arrangement of a traditional song of Mexico that is La Llorona by Julio César Oliva, the other composer that we were talking about earlier. I have Barrios, the Sueño en la Floresta, and Choro de Saudade. And I have Dionisio Aguado, the Fandango, Opus 16. Brouwer, I included the Elogio de la Danza and La Muerte del Ángel. Yeah, the Elogio is one of my favorite pieces.
I love that piece. Is the first? I think no, not first. Okay, not first. I played some of the etudes, but after the etudes, it was like the first big contemporary piece I played. I mean, now it doesn't seem contemporary because it was written in the 70s, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So 60s, 70s. So now I'm like contemporary, 50 years. Yeah, okay. But you know, it was the first piece like that I played, so I have like a lot of nostalgic memories of that piece.
For me too. Like, and actually, I think that was the first piece that I actually played for Brouwer himself in a masterclass. Okay. So like, it brings a lot of memories, and I just love it because it's like atonal, but it has this gravity, you know, like it's a very intense piece, and I just love it.
It has like the dance thing too, which is like when the dance part kicks in the second half, it's like, you know, it's just really nice. Sorry, you were saying.
No, and I was saying, like, for instance, it's one of those pieces that for what I think that Brouwer has a lot of that even the most dense, like the Spirale Eterna or the Parabola, they are very easy to digest, you know, like they're not I mean, I have played this for children, like, you know, when I used to do like
and they're into it.
They like it. Like there's this part of the triplets in the open E, and they say like, oh, I imagine like a helicopter is chasing me, and they come up with all these stories, you know. But it's the thing that the music is so relatable. Like I love Brouwer, I really do. But anyway,
I was saying that I was actually saying to a student like literally 2 hours ago, because we did Brouwer Etude 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5. He just like learned them in his lesson for the first time, and he's like, this music is weird, but it's really like nice to listen to when you play it. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Like it's harmonically like really out there, especially the third and the even the fifth etude. Some of those harmonic shifts are very strange, but it all works because the groove is there, you know. That's the thing. So anyhow, sorry.
Well, and what else? I include La Muerte del Ángel, of like also the arrangement of Brouwer of the Piazzolla, the Sevillana of Turina, The Platerias, the Sonata Jocosa by Rodrigo, and also the piece that is like the album is named after, that it's Zephyr by Chris Gainey, that he's an American composer. And actually, he did a doctor's degree uh, uh, Vancouver, Vancouver,
Oh,
in
cool.
British Columbia.
At
I,
UBC. Nice.
yeah. So anyway, I met him here in Buffalo. I had the opportunity to play some quartets with him, and I ran into this piece, and I just said like, I gotta play it, and it's it's its premiere recording.
So you did a doctorate in composition at UBC, you mean?
Chris did on music theory, I think.
Music theory? Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Because I was going to say, depending when he was there, I would have maybe met him because I did my first master's there.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyhow, cool. Nice. And sorry, the Zephyr piece, did he write this for you?
No, actually, well, he studied in Peabody with Manuel Barrueco. So, like, this piece was like kind of a thank you piece for Manuel, and but it had never been recorded. And we were doing some quartets when I was about to go into recording the album, and I asked him like, "Do you mind if I record this piece, because I just really liked it?" And he said like, "No, go ahead." So it's not dedicated to me, but I'm the first one to record it. So.
Nice. I think a lot of composers would not complain if you wanted to record the premiere recording of their piece, probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think that most of them would be happy. Samuel Laroche says it's riffs in reference to Brouwer. Yeah, Brouwer riffs, exactly. I love Brouwer riffs. Those. Yeah, we all know the Brouwer riffs we love the most. There are many of them.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Well, we're gonna go soon to one of our favorite segments, which is the repertoire listening test. But first, I have a question for you, Ricardo. Which my audience probably is annoyed by this at this point because I ask every single episode. But what is classical guitar, or how would you define it?
Yeah, actually, like I've been thinking a lot about this because, as you know, like I listen to the show like very frequently, so I had a lot of opportunity to think about it, and I think that classical guitar is more an attitude towards the instrument. You know, I don't think it's an instrument because we have had music like Radamés Natali, you know, who composed for electric guitar, and we have like all sorts of we have prepared guitar on contemporary music in which we put pencils and all sorts of things to the guitar. So it's not instrument, is not a repertoire, but I think it's the attitude of how you play the guitar, that it's a very conservatory oriented
Mm.
take on the instrument. Because, for instance, I don't know if you have seen this video of what's this kid's name, Marcin, that plays like slapping the guitar and plays the Fifth Symphony of
Oh,
Beethoven or
yes.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
And it makes me think, well, is this classical guitar? Because he's playing Beethoven. So is this classical guitar? And I don't know. I think that many people will have different takes. For me, it's not,
Right.
because it's more about the flashiness rather than the respect for the music. And we have in classical guitar, we have this some sort of veneration of saying the music is first. That's at least my perspective, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, not that the Fifth Symphony with marching is not great. It's
Mm-hmm.
very impressive, right? But it's just like
It's a different goal, I guess, than
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's at least what I think makes it different. Because yeah, you have had this discussion a lot of times before that yeah, it's not the instrument, maybe the nylon strings, I don't know, but then it's flamenco classical guitar, you know, like it's very
Mm-hmm.
similar instrument, just lower action, right? But I think it's the attitude towards the repertoire. We play Latin American music and folklore inspired music, but it is how we play it, like the mindset, let's say.
Hmm. Interesting.
What do you think about that?
I think that could be true. I mean, the more I ask people, the more I feel like none of the ways that people try to define it really, like attitude, repertoire, instrument, none of these things fully, really properly closes it in. I guess probably the issue is just that the definition changes from person to person and community to community, you know? But I think the attitude is a big part of it that a lot of people don't notice, you know? So I think it's very, very astute to notice this because I think a lot of people get fixated on those other things like repertoire or instruments or technique, and they forget that the approach to it matters a lot. That being said, that attitude has also changed throughout time and will continue to. So I don't know if you can define exactly what the attitude is.
Very true, because thinking about it, in the times of Segovia, like what were the regular things that were arranged for the guitar? It was like waltzes, pieces by Chopin, by Bach, by this,
Yeah.
and then then you have Roland Dienz that arranged Django
Yeah.
Reinhardt and tangos and bossas and all of this, and so.
Or
Yeah,
there's like my friend
yeah.
Simon Farintosh just put out the CD of electronic music for classical guitar, and it's like Aphex Twin and stuff, right? And like all these sort of like electronic tracks that he's arranged, and it is a classical guitar approach. Like I would call that a classical guitar CD because of the way he did the arrangements, the way he records it, the way he performs them, all those things. It still feels like a classical guitarist doing it, But I guess a lot of people would argue that that's not classical guitar music, but they'd have to also argue with Roland Diaz. So, yeah.
I don't know. It's an amorphous thing.
Yeah, for sure.
As you say, it changes depending on the perspective, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Samuel, this is a bit of a spicy story. I'm not sure how true this is, but I'm going to read it anyways. Samuel Laroche says, after the premiere of Concerto de Toronto, with John Williams playing, Brouwer was not happy with the piece and said, how come I have a standing ovation for this? It's just riffs. The ovation should have been only for John Williams. I don't know if that's true. Okay, he said Peter McCutcheon told him. I don't know if that's true, but if that's true, that's really funny because it would be, it is a pretty riffy concerto. That's true.
It is.
It's my favorite Brouwer concerto. So, so what does that say about me? I don't know.
But maybe the story is true, maybe it's not. But like one of my memories because Brouwer always is saying a lot of like anecdotes of like his different stages in life. But I remember one of them, of the ones that he has repeated over and over again, was the process of composing the concerto with Williams, in which this was before fax, before all sorts of technology. So he will send like packages of like what he had done of the concerto to Williams in either Australia or England, and they will talk on the phone and discuss about it, and then Williams will record something and send it back to Brouwer in Cuba or in Spain. So it was like this collaboration process, and he was very proud of the process. And one of the things that I remember a lot about these stories is he always referred to this story when talking about practice. Because he will say how Williams will practice something, and he will say that in the recordings he will start playing like the first movement or whatever, and he started, and then he will make a mistake, and then that you will hear like a 20 seconds of silence, an absolute silence, and then he will play it again and he will play it right. And Brouwer always said, like, what happened in those 20 seconds that Williams was able to solve the problem without repeating constantly. And he always said, like, he was trying to define the error to pinpoint it. And just like if you are able to pinpoint the mistake on the piece, like that's already 80% of the solution, And as a guitarist, we're used to, I'm pretty sure that in any conservatory in the world, you always hear musicians
Yeah.
So
sounds
anyway,
like me practicing.
So I don't know if the story of Brouwer not liking the concerto was true, but he certainly enjoyed the process of composing it with
for sure. Yeah. If the story is true, it's probably just him making a cheeky comment, So.
But it is very riffy, though.
Yeah, it is very riffy, but I love the riffs, especially the stuff that comes from the last movement of the Cameron Negro. That comes in the end of the concerto. Also, you hear this. This theme from that is kind of cool. I mean, I really love the way that Brouwer recycles his own material, in all his pieces.
Oh yeah,
it's really nice because some people look at that and think it might be like a little bit lazy or something, but I just feel like, for me, it's just a way for you to get deeper into his whole catalog, you know, which is really cool because you have the sense when you listen to a lot of Brouwer that you can kind of start connecting dots, and that's a really cool experience as a listener. And I think more composers could learn from that, you know, in a way.
And as a player, you know, and think about it like, you know, if you think about from the perspective of literature, if you think about Garcia Marquez, you know, the Colombian writer, he wrote like, I don't know, at least 12 books
Yeah.
That were set in the same fictional town of Macondo, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
because of that, like the stories intertwine in just like one page, you know, one page you will see some like a character of another book just passing by. And
Yeah.
it gives you like that sense of like, yeah, I know what he's talking about, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same way. It's a very nerdy reference, but if you play any of the Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim or something, because the writers of those games do such work at having the same lore and the same world for like the games that have spanned 40 years, you know, it's like you can just, it's like an endless rabbit hole of relatable and sort of intertwined things. And yeah, it's nice that a composer can do that too. Alex Bougie says, all of my students have the same reaction to Brouwer. This is weird, but I really like playing it. Yeah.
True.
Okay, since we're talking about repertoire a lot, let's do the repertoire listening test before we listen to another video, if that's okay.
Okay.
So are you ready? Are you ready, Ricardo?
I mean, I studied.
You studied? Oh my goodness.
No, I'm joking.
Okay. You took it more seriously than a lot of people, I think. Okay. I think. Oh, I have to make sure that I've shared the audio in Zoom because otherwise you won't hear it, which would be an extra level of difficulty I don't have to impose upon you. That would be a little too difficult. Okay. Oh no. It made you go away. Oh. Sorry, everybody. Having some technical difficulties with Zoom. I think we can still hear you, but somehow Zoom is not putting your video through. Why is it doing this? Sorry, everyone. One moment. Do you want to tell us, Ricardo, while I try and figure this out, about the... One moment, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, now it's working. Got it. Do not know why that happened. Okay, we're good. Alrighty. Sorry, everyone. So, as you know, in the listening test, I have separated things into 3 approximate categories. So there's like what I would consider beginner, what I would consider intermediate, and what I would consider advanced. But of course, this is all very subjective. So hopefully I have chosen a difficulty level that's correct for each of them. So first one is going to be this one.
Danza Paraguaya by Barrios.
Okay, that's easy. And who's playing? That's the question.
Oh, let me hear then.
Any idea? Do you need a hint?
Berta Rojas.
No.
I need a hint. Oh, okay. David Russell.
Not David Russell. It's a Cuban guitarist.
Who recorded from Cuba that? Rene?
Not Rene. It's no. One more guess, and then I'm gonna move on.
Cuban. Oh man.
Help you.
Ali. What's Ali Arango? No.
No, not Ali Arango. It's Manuel Barrueco.
Oh man.
There you go. Alex says, I realized just now I wasn't listening live. So sorry. It's okay, Alex. I was just a little confused because he quoted me from like 20 minutes ago in the show, so that was not experience. But okay, 2 out of 3, not bad, Ricardo. That was good. Okay, next one.
The homage La Tombeau de Debussy by Manuel de Falla.
Yes, very good. And the player?
Julian Bream.
Julian Bream, very good. Okay, that was a softball. These are a little easy. Okay, this one we'll see. This one you'll know the piece, but I'm curious if you can name the player also.
Ginastera.
Yes, Ginastera.
The 4th movement.
Very good. And the player?
That I need time. Like,
Okay. Here, I'll play a bit of a later section so you can hear. No. Samuel is saying Jérôme Ducharme, GFA CD. Not Jérôme Ducharme, but it is a GFA CD. There's your hint.
Tomás Viloto.
Tomás Viloto, very good. Yes.
Yeah.
How did you know?
I got lucky with that one because I actually haven't heard a lot of the GFA winner recordings.
Okay. Nice. Samuel says Marcin Dilla did not record this on his GFA CD. It's on a CD that he recorded for the Faletta competition, I think.
In that one he recorded the Jocosa. I don't remember if he recorded also maybe he did. Maybe it was also Natas.
I think it was, yeah. It was Giocosa Ginestera and then this weird concerto piece that I didn't know. Concertino. It was like a small group of instruments and guitar. Anyways, I could be just talking crap. Ines Chala says, I am loving this. Thank you, Ines. Nice to see you here. Okay, so now the beginner category you got 8 out of 9, so that's good. I chose the right level of difficulty, I guess. Let's move on to intermediate.
Tarantella by Mertz.
Okay, this is still a little too easy for you, but who is the player? It's an American player.
I need a little bit more.
It's a Nexo CD with an American player.
Adam Holzman recorded Mertz.
It's Adam Holzman, yes.
Yeah, I studied with him.
I know, that's why I put it on the test. I have to try to include people's teachers, you know. Or I assumed you studied with him because your bio says Texas, so I was like, yeah. But
okay, points.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next one. Here we go.
Córdoba by Albenz.
What? Ow. It's like one chord and you're like, know it.
Well, it was part of the qualifying exams.
Okay.
But it was a little bit more difficult. They will show you like a line of the music sheets, you know, like, and you have to identify it. So, but I love classical guitar, as you can see.
Okay. I think I might have made this test too easy. We'll see. Maybe I'll put some bonus ones at the end.
No, please. Williams or who is it?
It's not Williams. This isn't. Listen, it's not a Williams tone. It's David Russell, yes. Yeah. Nice. Okay. I made this way too easy.
I love this.
No more hints from me, Ricardo.
Well, Bach, right?
Yes, Bach, yeah.
What this is from... is it Lutsuit? Oh my God. Well, can I hear a little bit more to see who plays at least?
It is from a lute suite, but you're gonna have to give me more than just a lute suite. If you can name the key or the BWV number, I'll give it to you.
E. It's in E, no?
Yes, E major. Very good.
So this and is the one on E, and then
it's 1006.
Can you tell me like the nationality of the guitarist or a hint or something?
It's a guitarist. I feel like you've done too well already. It's a guitarist from Asia.
Yamashita.
Nope. This is a big pool of guitarists I'm now realizing to choose from.
Oh man, from Asia.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not from Japan. So you've eliminated Japan.
oh, uh, uh, no, I don't know. I give up.
It's Meng Su.
Oh man,
I could have said a student of Barwaco, but that would be too easy.
yeah, you would have given it away.
Yeah. Okay, but still 2 out of 3. So you also got 8 out of 9 in the intermediate level, so you really can't complain, you know.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, this one should be a little more tricky.
Okay.
Hopefully. Do you want to hear some more of the later section?
Sure.
Here, actually, I'll go to this part. Here. Any idea on the composer?
You really jump in difficulty here. Like I really
Yes.
know this piece.
Okay. Well, some people don't.
A hint, a hint.
A hint. This is a Balkan composer.
Well, it has to be
Has to be.
Bogdanovich.
Yes, it's
No?
Bogdanovich. It's Bogdanovich, but it could have been someone else.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
but
It's,
yeah, Dusan Bogdanovich, and I don't know, is it the Balkan pieces that Soran plays, the miniatures?
nope.
No.
Not the Balkan miniatures.
All right, I'm not gonna guess the piece.
Okay.
I'm not
The
that
piece is
acquainted.
the piece is Introduction Passacaglia and Fugue on the Golden Flower.
Oh, it's a beautiful piece. I've
Yeah.
never heard it before.
It's really nice. I actually have the music, but I've never learned it, which is a shame.
No, it sounds like just a little that you show me. It's a very captivating piece. Like,
It's really cool. And the player is an Iranian player.
what's her name? Is she in Canada?
She's in America, I'm pretty certain.
Okay. So she's in Tennessee, right?
I think so. I'm not. Wait, let me check. This is why we have Google right here. She
what?
teaches. She teaches at somewhere. She teaches in
Tennessee.
Memphis.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Tennessee maybe. One moment.
Yeah, Memphis is in Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Lily Ashfar.
Yeah, Lily Afshar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lily Afshar. Very good. Nice. Okay. Well, now that we've jumped in difficulty, let's just continue with it. Is this easy for you?
No.
No? Okay, good. I was worried for a moment there. I was worried you were like, oh, haha, I know this one. Exactly which piece, which recording, which CD. It's two guitars, in case you couldn't tell, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Spanish, right?
Not Spanish, actually.
No? It has like this fandango kind of articulation, no?
Yeah, it does. It's true, but it's
Is that WhatsApp?
Mediterranean region. I don't want to give too much away because you've gotten so many points already. It's okay. It's an Italian composer. I'll give you that.
Well, it will be like if you, Italian will be solo duo, maybe, no?
Not the player's not Italian. The composer is Italian.
Oh, the composer. Can I hear a little bit more?
Yeah.
It's not Castelnuovo.
It is.
Right?
Castellano
It is?
Tedesco, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the duo is from where?
South America.
The Assad brothers.
No, not the Asad brothers, but right country.
Duo Lima, Cicada Lima.
No,
Cicada, no?
no, no.
Man, who are they?
The Brazil guitar duo.
Oh, I should have known.
I know. That's why I didn't want to say from Brazil because it's in the name. It would be too much of a giveaway. And the piece, do you know what piece that
No,
is?
I don't know the piece.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of
It's a Sonatina Canonica.
Man,
One out of three. Not bad.
the difficult level is too difficult for me apparently.
No, no. This is the first. You still got 1 point on the last two of these each. So because you got the composer. Okay, last one. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Brower, no?
Yep, it's Brower.
And I don't like. Let's see.
Sorry. Do you want to hear some more?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Has to be one of the newer pieces
Yep.
because I don't know. I know the repertoire, like his catalog, all very well until the 1990s. So it has to be one of the later ones.
It is a much newer piece.
I don't know. Maybe he did this thing of the Black Decameron, the Sonata of the Black Decameron. Is it that one?
No,
Or that one?
that's the third sonata. This is a different sonata.
The Sonata del Caminante, then.
Nope, not the second. One more try. You have 3 more to choose from. It is
I
a
don't
sonata
remember.
though.
Well, Sonata number 4.
No, it's sonata number 6.
Oh man, yeah, I have to catch up with his catalog. Like I told you, like all up until the 1990s, I knew every single piece, and then the latest pieces, I lost track a little bit. So,
Well, he's written a lot recently, actually.
yeah.
So, do you know the player, perhaps, who recorded these sonatas?
Ricardo Saeb recorded very early, but I don't think that he recorded these newer pieces, right? So
Actually, this is Ricardo Saeb. So
you really?
yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Nice. Yes.
Nice.
He actually the 6th one is dedicated to Saeb.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of the sonata again?
Number 6, De los Enigmas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I played the 5th one actually in my masters here in Maastricht with Carlo.
What is that? Which one is the 5th one?
Ars Combinatoria. It's the one that Andrei Lebedev played in the GFA.
Yeah, that one I have heard before. It's a beautiful piece. Difficult, huh?
Very difficult. I had a hell of a time with that piece, but it worked in the end. I never recorded it, sadly. I will sometime, but
yeah, do.
But yeah, this is the 6th one, which I think it might have been because Ricardo was going to record all the sonatas. No, maybe it was after that. But anyways, the 6th one was dedicated to Ricardo, and then he recorded all 6 on a CD recently. It's a pretty new CD, so worth listening to if you want to catch up on the sonatas.
Yeah, I will. I will now that you tell me. Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay, nice. So 2 out of 3. Okay, so in the advanced category, you got 4 out of 9. It's not bad.
I'll take it.
Overall, you did better than most guests do, so you should be pretty happy, I think. Yeah.
You should do what Javier said of keeping like a log of so like.
Oh yeah.
So you can pit us against one another, Yeah.
At the beginning, I was keeping track of it more religiously, but as the pandemic has gone on and I've gotten more lazy with this, I haven't written down the numbers every time. But yeah, a leaderboard is a good idea. Maybe I'll do it every season, starting with season 6. My God, awesome. Well, you did great, Ricardo.
No, that's awesome. I was gonna say like, well, I was telling you when we were talking earlier that for me, like these things, the listening, the test and everything, it's so much fun, and through the pandemic that I've been like mostly indoors, like most of people, like the Messy Desk has been like a lifesaver, you know, like
Mm.
it really makes a difference. So I have a lot of fun doing this. That's why
Thanks. Yeah.
I get so eager about it. So
Yeah, it's nice to have someone come on the show and be excited about the listening test because most people are like a little put off by the idea because it's a little bit of pressure. But I don't know. It's just supposed to be fun, you know. It's whatever.
I mean, you're not nobody knows everything,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Nobody like so it's just fun, and it's the opportunity actually to listen to new pieces that you haven't been exposed to. So
Yeah,
so
true.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good attitude to have, though. Nobody knows everything. I mean, I try to apply that in my life generally. It's hard not to want to know everything, but you know.
Well, that's a different story. We all want to know
Yeah,
everything, right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But recognizing that you can't know everything, so you shouldn't worry about it when you don't know something is, is good.
And now I'm able to say that because I already did the test. So like I'm like I can say like, well, yeah, I did good. So I can lean back then.
Yeah, exactly. You're done and you did well, so it's fine. You don't have to feel bad. The funniest is when I put someone's teacher on the listening test and they don't recognize them. It's like,
Yeah, that would be shameful.
yeah, I feel a little bad when I do that, but it is funny. Um, yeah. Anyhow, okay. Why don't we listen to actually some of your playing now that we've
Awesome.
listened to a bunch of other people. I was thinking we could maybe save the Torina for the end to round out the show.
Sure.
So, should we play? Maybe we can play this song you arranged. This Maria Grever piece.
Yeah, definitely. So I was telling you, so Maria Griver was a composer, a Mexican composer, and she was very prolific, very, very prolific composer of songs, like popular songs. And she's actually well known here in the US. One of the songs that is in Spanish is called Cuando vuelva a tu lado, was translated as "What difference does it make?" And it's very well known here in the States. So anyway, when I all through my life studying music, when I was studying in Mexico, I used to study in a conservatory, and I was very close friends with the voice department. I was always surrounded by singers. So this is one of the songs that I used to listen all the time, and it's such a beautiful melody that I decided to make an arrangement of it. And I'm not a composer. I don't like act like it, but I really like this melody. I really like this piece, and I was missing Mexico a lot in the middle of the pandemic that I decided to make this little arrangement. And in the video, I included some pictures and videos that I took when I was in Mexico City. So yeah, so this is called Muñequita. No, what?
It's
uh,
Te quiero.
Te quiero dijiste.
Yeah.
Te quiero dijiste. That means like you told me you love me.
Nice. Cool. And your own arrangements. Wonderful. Do you have the sheet music available for sale somewhere?
No, I actually like I have to write it down and publish it because
Okay.
a lot of people have asked me about it, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that in within the next month or so.
So
Yeah.
for now, for people listening, for all of you, if you want to play it, you have to pester Ricardo, to put it down on some software and put it on his website for sale. So
No, I'll do that. I'll do that.
yeah. Nice. Okay. Well, let's listen to this. And we're back. Wonderful. Very nice, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Alex Bougie says this is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
Couldn't
thank
agree
you.
more.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, wonderful. So now that the CD is done, the CD is out. How are you feeling about future projects? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, of course, like talking about the whole thing of the pandemic that has affected us all, I haven't been able to promote it a lot
Mm.
because there's no in-person concerts. And I have done a couple of online, but it's never the same thing. And
Yeah.
so, so one of the main objectives is now as things are reopening to promote the CD and perform and promote it. But I also have I have very how to say exciting projects. I'm gonna be playing the Romancero Gitano for guitar and choir here in Buffalo,
Cool.
and also the Fandango by the quintet of the Boccherini,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and what else am I playing? A lot of chamber music.
Nice.
That's the first thing that is opening up. It's very funny how coming back to stage is working because the opportunities for chamber music are opening up faster than the
Solo.
solo performances. Yeah,
Interesting.
but yeah, but main objective is just to promote it.
Nice. Awesome. And on that note, there is a link in the description if you want to buy it on Amazon. You can also find it on any of your preferred listening, streaming, buying platforms. It's everywhere. So, just Google Ricardo Saeb Zephyr. Um, cool. Nice. And how do you feel about having your first full CD out? This is your first full CD, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of the whole thing of not being able to promote it a lot has taken a lot of the excitement out of it,
Mm.
because of course, I mean, it has been great to be able to share it online, and that's like everything in this pandemic. It's great that we have these resources that we haven't stopped us from doing things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I can't wait to actually hear the feedback of the people, like
Of
right on
course.
stage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing that I'm longing for the most, to be able to share this with people on theaters on stage. So
Yeah.
but I feel very happy. I mean it's a very surreal thing just to be able to see like my face
Yeah.
there.
That's awesome. Nice. And I'm so happy that you're so, happy about the product because it's the first time doing it can be mixed bag of feelings depending on the situation. And it sounds like you really prepared and got the music that you wanted to play and, had a good situation with recording. And so when all that comes together, it's very special.
I think it's whatever you make out of it, because
Mm-hmm.
we were saying about everything that we do. We always want to do everything perfect, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want things to be like flawless. And but to be quite honest, like there's not such a thing, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's always going to be something else. And at least it happens to me that particularly with the videos, with the recording, I try not to think of it that way. But with the videos, for instance, I hear it and I hear this noise that I didn't hear before. And then I hear it another day and I say like, oh, it's really good. And I hear another day and it's like, why did I even publish this?
Yeah.
So like it I think that it's a healthy thing just to accept things the way they are,
Mm-hmm.
and just to prepare the best that you can for these kind of projects and do it with the best of intentions and
Mm-hmm.
vibes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean I really enjoy the process, and it was very different with the pandemic because we didn't get to like sit and discuss the editing in person. Everything was done online, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of weird. But I really, yeah, I enjoy the whole process, and I'm very happy with the final product.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I relate a lot with what you're saying because I think just, any creative person, anyone who's an artist, and I include in that people who do something as a hobby that's creative where they really care about it. Like I say to my students all the time, like the reason that you're feeling so much nerves around like playing in even a recital or something is because you care so much. That's a good sign,
Yeah,
because it means that you have high standards for yourself, which is great. But you know, at some level, as a creative artistic person, you can't have your standard the metric for whether you should put something out there. At some point, you have to be like, I'm never reaching my standard because my standard for myself is unrealistic because I care so much, you know, about polishing this. So it's hard to know where that line is because, of course, especially with recording, there's a certain amount you can do to keep working on it to make it as good as possible. But yeah, at some point you have to accept things as they are, and that's a good thing to keep in mind. Because the way someone else experiences it is not the same way you experience it. So, you know.
And like the other thing that, for instance, particularly for the videos that are, there's a different product than the recorded album, right? But for the videos, every single, like if you're picky about it, like for instance, every single of my videos have a mistake somewhere,
Yeah.
And the way I think about it is like, this is a representation of what I actually do on stage. So I don't want to set the bar so high that when somebody goes to see me live, like they say like, it doesn't sound anything like what the videos sound like, Yeah. So I just try to prepare the best that I can and put the best that I can do out there, and that way, I think that sometimes if we put these standards so high that we never do anything, we never put anything out there, and then we psych ourselves out, and like even if we dare to do something, we're always second guessing ourselves, and that's not very healthy because it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and also if you have that attitude, it's going to show to the people who watch you. Even if you're doing a good job, it's going to show, and they're going to be like, this person's not confident, which is also not a good look. I think I agree to an extent, although I also think that people, and I think this is something that we have to learn as a society at large, is that recording is a whole extra step, creative step beyond playing. So this idea that from recordings people should be able to tell how you play live or should be able to compare it, it's kind of ridiculous because it's like saying someone should expect your life to be the same as it is on social media. You know, which we all know that someone's Instagram feed looks a lot more fun and successful than their real life. You know, because they don't put their worst moments on Instagram, right? Yeah. And when you're playing live, all of it is there, even the worst moments, right? They're there. You can't get rid of them. They're there. But on a recording, you get rid of them by editing, you know? So there's a certain amount of... And there's a difference between a video where you're like, okay, I'm just going to do like a one-take video for YouTube, whatever, and like a CD where you're, picking the best of every single phrase. But yeah, Alex says models don't look the same in person as they do in pictures. Exactly. And I think something I'm trying to work on even with my students is just this idea of like viewing the recording and the editing process as an extra creative step, which is a positive thing. Like when you go and you choose if you're recording in your room at home with like a dead sound, you choose your reverb plugin, you adjust all the parameters, you might fix attenuate a squeak or something and actually I was talking about this with my friend Nathan Bredesen the other day because he was showing me some tips for attenuating sounds and noises out, squeaks and clicks and stuff. And it was like, it's the kind of thing where it's a delicate balance because the mic is right in front of you, so it picks up stuff that someone wouldn't hear in a concert hall. A lot of that extra noise would be gone. So removing a certain amount of it does make sense because you want it to sound like it would in a hall that flatters you as a player. But you don't want to remove so much that it sounds artificial. So I don't know. It's hard to draw that line, but I also think that people just need to learn to expect different things from a recording than they would from a live concert.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's hard as an artist to like realize that and be like, accept that,
Yeah, but I think it's totally true. The recording, the actual recording is one thing, right? Like the objective of it is very different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, than a live performance. It's about experience. It's about sharing. It's about many other things. The recordings are like the optimal outlet, let's say, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a very different product. It's like going to a play and watching a movie.
Exactly.
Completely different thing, you know.
And you expect different things from it. You don't expect people in the play to look like Megan Fox does in Transformers on the big screen.
Exactly.
You just don't. And I also think that looking at it from a positive point of view, it's like the audio engineer, especially if you're the audio engineer, the one recording and the one editing your own recordings, that person is now like a composer on the other end. So it's like composer, player, audio engineer, and like it makes this whole creative timeline, you know. I'm actually working with a composer, a Mexican composer actually, who's in Vancouver, Alfredo Santa Ana, and he's very good with audio work and everything. So we're doing this piece over distance with Nathan, because Nathan and I are in a duo where we don't see each other's parts. We record them separately without a click track, and it's a duo piece he writes, and then he's putting it together as the composer afterwards and the audio engineer. And so it's this interesting thing where he's on both ends of the product, like the creative product. But I think even if it's a different person, then the composer doesn't matter. But the person at the end of the chain who does the editing is also making creative decisions, you know? And it's like that step is an extra creative step. And viewing it that way, it ceases to be this thing where you expect it to be the same as a live concert, but it's like you're viewing someone's idealized version of this piece, whatever that is.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally, that's interesting. I want to hear. I want to hear that recording.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear it too, because I want to hear what Nathan's part sounds like. Because Alfredo forbid us from seeing each other's parts. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, yeah. Oh, Alex says LOL, people shouldn't hear the string vibrating on the left side of your fretting finger as it goes down the neck. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Anyhow.
And you know, like talking about how everything changed with this thing of the lockdown and everything. For me, like it's one of the best things of the pandemic is precisely to learn to do all of these things of editing of the video, right? Precisely because, and that was part of the thing that I didn't like about online concerts. That because I wasn't very well like familiarized with how to manipulate sound and stuff like that on live performances. So I thought it was rather unfair because like I live in this apartment that has like, you know, it's like a loft, so it has like dots coming up, and so the sound is metallic, and it's not a good representation of how people will hear you if they were here even, you know. But I've been learning a lot of that, and so I've been using my time of lockdown to learn a little bit about cameras and audio, and it has been fascinating. I mean, it's a completely stage of it's a different process of creativity, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole other world, and it is another way to be creative, and I think people should view it that way. And yeah, and again, like we were talking about this earlier, but I don't think a YouTube video or a CD can capture what a live concert is like. It just can't, and it's not a good replacement. So because it's not a good replacement, shouldn't we then use it to do the things that it does well, which is manipulate the sound, edit it, get your idealized version of the piece. With a video, there's obviously the visual element, like you do these little statue things, which I thought was such a nice touch. And you know, in the piece that you arrange, you do these pictures of where you were in Mexico and stuff, and it's like in Mexico City, some places you visited. So it's just, I think that when people do something online, they should, instead of trying to recreate a live concert experience or whatever, they should be trying to use the medium for what it's good at, you know?
Yeah, totally. Because video gives you that flexibility of you can show whatever you want, you think is the most important, right? So like I don't know, like if you're really into technical stuff and you say like, oh, this part in the left hand was very difficult, let me show it, you know, because or you know, like, oh, this piece, like for instance the arrangement that it reminded me so much of Mexico. And like, well, I'm gonna put some images there because this is what I'm thinking about when I listen to this song, you know. And it gives you a different outlet for creativity. I think you're right. Like we can exploit more of what we can do through this media instead of just try to recreate a live performance that is not gonna be the same.
For sure. Yeah. It's even weird that we think it's like a dirty secret if you like, for example, I don't remember who it, I think it might have been Thomas I was talking about, where he's like, maybe, okay, I could be misremembering this, but I think Thomas said something to the effect of like, you know, even making the choice on a recording he had done to put a chord closer to the end of an arpeggio than he physically could do. You know, you end up at the top of the neck and then a low chord kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, if you can't play that live, who cares? If your ideal version of the piece, you really feel that chord should be on time, but you would, in reality, you would do some kind of rallentando to allow yourself to get there, but you don't have to in the recording. why not get your idealized version of the piece and express that, you know? Um,
Yeah, there's like, for instance, and yes, I don't think there's anything wrong about this. But for instance, Barreco's take of Asturias, you know, that
mm-hmm,
everybody plays Asturias, right? There's this part when the strummings are going up that the bass is like doing like this movement of descending, ascending, descending, ascending, you know,
mm-hmm,
but it's very difficult to do live. So he doesn't do it live. But in the
mm-hmm.
recording, that movement of the bass that is almost unperceivable, to be quite honest, unless you're reading the score and you say like, where did this go? You know,
Yeah.
uh, you have to be practical when you're on stage and just say like, I'm gonna do whatever I can, you know. But in the
Yeah.
recording, you can allow yourself to explore these things that that yeah are more difficult to get
Mm-hmm.
live, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's just up to every person, right? Which is the great
Mm.
thing about it is that you're individually expressing your individual ideas, you know, artistic ideas. So that's great. Manmeet Bala says, congratulations for such an amazing journey. Yes, it has been an amazing
Thank
journey so
you.
far already. And there's much more to come for Ricardo and hopefully for me. Pablo Villafuerte, Pablo, always with the spicy hot takes, says, crazy that we need this much convincing and justifying in an era post Glenn Gould. I blame the Academy. You know, I share that sentiment. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep saying, and I feel like I'm a freaking broken record at this point, but I just feel like I understand why academic programs are structured the way they are. It totally makes sense, but like this sort of the academy and like the competition system, those two things in conjunction with each other create this environment where we like train and train and train and spend so much energy and so much stress over doing things in a certain way, and then when you get into the real world of like doing a CD or doing concerts or doing recordings or whatever, it's not really necessarily lining up with like what you actually need, you know.
Mhm.
And it's hard to see the benefit of drilling people to the point where they like expect to play in every performance as a CD would sound or something. I don't know. It's yeah.
But you know what else is true about that is that the programming itself, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, when you're in school, you always play like, oh, one Bach, and you play this, and you play, and like different eras, and like the structure of the program is very academic. I mean, the purpose of you studying music is for you to learn different eras, different styles, different this, different that, and so like the programs are like that, right? But
Mm,
when like and it's something that I struggled a lot with once I left the academia, or like that I left school. It was like, no, I'm gonna do a program of music that I will enjoy listening to, you know.
yeah.
So because I don't have to comply with this structure that I have to start with Bach, and then I have to do this and I have to do that.
Yeah.
And I love, you
And
know,
I
don't
have
get
to
me
have
wrong,
something flashy, and I have to have
yeah,
you know something with
yeah,
tremolo, and I
yeah.
have to, you know yeah
Yeah, so it's but it's very difficult because you're trained like that.
yeah
So you're always like second guessing, well, maybe I should program some like some Rodrigo here, or like, you know, like
yeah
it's difficult to break that
mindset.
that
Yeah.
tradition.
And also it's also not like this might also be kind of a spicy take, but I feel like that it's not a great way to win fans of your playing even within the guitar community, because when you see someone, let's say you see a competition semi-final round, and you see someone who makes it to the finals because they played in a way that checks all the boxes, but you can see that they just checked all the boxes with their program. I don't remember that person as much as the person who plays like a program that's a little bit out there, but is really shows them as a player. Maybe they're really, really good at Renaissance music, so they played a bunch of Da Milano and other things, and it's too individual for all the judges to rate it high enough for it to get through. You know, like I just feel like for the long-term artistic longevity of a player, that second way of doing things, of picking like, well, this is what I'm gonna like and what I'm good at and what I actually believe in playing, is going to be more successful in the long run, I would imagine, you know. I guess it's hard to say, but I just feel like, yeah, the way we're trained doesn't incentivize that kind of development where you're trying to figure out who you are as a player rather than just follow what you're supposed to be doing in the checklist, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, right? Because I don't know, like for instance, I think that in our field of the classical guitar, we're filled with dogmatic beliefs. Like, for instance, like competitions are the way to
Mm-hmm.
make a successful career, or you have to play this, you have to play that. And but I think, if we think about the players and the guitarists and artists that we love the most, they they kind of didn't do that, you
Mm-hmm.
listen to Julian Bream. I mean, Julian Bream didn't compete anything. It was a different time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But his recordings were a very personal. Like, I'm gonna do Spanish music, and he did the music that he loved, and he
Mm-hmm.
did he commissioned a lot of pieces, like, and the Walton and all of this, and but he played them with such a personal take on these things, and he enjoyed doing these processes. And I think. Yeah, I think it takes a lot of courage just to go for the things that you really feel comfortable doing, like
Mm-hmm.
and trying to make the best out of it. I don't know, like,
Yeah,
but
but I
I,
think
I
that's also just a more winning strategy in
mhm,
terms of people who listen to you. And actually, Elsa Bao Khanam just said, also your general audience does not necessarily care about the checklist. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. The general
mhm,
audience of people who listen are not going to care about the checklist, and also a lot of the guitarists who listen, because let's be honest, a lot of our audience is guitarists. I don't think we can get
mhm.
away from that entirely. Hopefully, we can move away from that somewhat, but not entirely. A lot of those people also would rather you don't do the checklist. Like
Yeah,
when I listen to a guitarist, I would much rather hear someone do something that's very personal to them and not. Yeah. So,
mhm,
yeah,
yeah,
I think we're agreeing on this. But Pablo also said academia has broken many crazy talented friends. Many of them just gave up. Sadly, I know this all too well. Even people who, to be honest, in the programs I was in, some of the people who are my colleagues were, I would argue, way better than me in many ways as artists. Or I admired them a lot and thought, like, I wish that I was half the artist this person was. And it's broken a lot of people for sure, in my experience as well, which is sad.
one thing that I think that has helped me a lot was that when I was studying in Mexico, since I was starting, like from the very first years that I was already at the conservatory level, I'm not talking before that,
Mm-hmm.
is that my teacher at the time, he always like tried to, like, he insisted a lot that we didn't have to wait to graduate to perform. So I was performing since I was 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was exposed to that experience of being on stage. And sure, most of the time I was playing pieces that were in my program that was like that, Bach and this and that and classical and soar and whatever. But like, as the time progressed, I learned to keep my program, so I kept on playing the programs from previous years and adding up and changing and shaping the programs to something that I liked, and all the grueling work of being in school didn't take away the joy of music, because being on stage
Mm.
was always the main objective, and I had the opportunity to be there very often. Like, I would perform at least once a month through since then, and and that really helped my sanity, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding why I'm doing this. Because when you're not on stage, and I had a lot of colleagues that never step on stage if it wasn't for their senior recital or junior recital, and
Or
that's
for a
so
competition.
difficult. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
because
so.
then you I think you like at that point you start associating performance with being evaluated in either a competition or an academic setting. That's not super healthy.
Yeah,
Because the audience does not treat you like a judge or like a jury or a professor does. They just don't.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I
thank
mean,
goodness.
if you realize that people made the effort of going wherever to see you perform because they want to have a good time, then everything changes,
Yeah.
and you stop feeling like, oh no, I got two wrong notes. Oh no, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it changes everything.
Yeah. It also changes how you present the music, but that's a whole other topic. Um,
Yeah.
I do relate quite a bit to your story too, because even when I wasn't making my professional living from music during my time as a student, although I had to sort of build a business earlier on than I might have had to otherwise, because I had to support myself my own way through most of my schooling, and including moving places. So I pretty early on started looking for teaching and performing opportunities that actually did pay something. But even before that, when at the very beginning of the bachelor's, for example, I was organizing concerts with friends where we would just try to make enough to pay the church rental, and at that time I was like, I don't care, like I don't need to make money, like if enough of our friends and family come to this, we'll break even. That's awesome, just because I wanted to have that way to perform outside school, because it was just soul crushing to only play at school. Not that playing at school was terrible. I mean, I had very supportive colleagues and teacher and everything, but just it's different. So Steven Dentom says, well, first of all, he said hello earlier and he said an inappropriate comment I'm not going to read out on the stream, but now he's saying, however, claiming that the structure has broken your artistic desire or strength is not helpful either. In the end, you can decide for yourself what you can do and find people that are willing to help you / work with you. So you can take responsibility to get outside of that academic structure and find other ways, like you're saying, Ricardo, that you did in the past, or you had the opportunity to. That's great. But I just think there's got to be also a way for the academic structure to also incentivize other things. And I think there are a lot of teachers trying to do that. I've had experiences. I have to be honest that there were some times when particularly when I was studying with Daniel Bolsha in Vancouver, where he would ask me questions and sort of question assumptions that I made that I was absorbing from the sort of classical guitar culture at large, and sort of helped challenge some of the things that the notions I had about competitions and other things, which I just sort of absorbed from classical guitar festival culture that were not helpful for artistic reasons, and so people like that, like I'm very thankful to people like Daniel for sort of challenging those in me as a teacher, because it helped me to see another side of a way to do art, I guess. So
also I think that sometimes we put a lot of limits on ourselves. Like one of the things that I enjoyed a lot in my graduate school when I did my master's and doctor's degree was that I actually, my teacher, Dieter Hennings at the University of Kentucky, he gave me the opportunity to perform in all sorts of settings, because we always think about classical guitar as a soloist or maybe quartet, I don't know. But in my time in Kentucky, I played with singers, I played with folk musicians, with jazz musicians, with this, with that, with orchestra, with orchestra as part of the orchestra. That is not something that we do very often, because if you think about it, we only have the Mahler Symphony that has guitar, right? And then, but I did an arrangement of the Lepona Suite Andalusia, so I play that as a guitar as part of the orchestra, and so the time in grad school was a time of exploring, doing contemporary music, doing all sorts of things, and I think one thing that academia can do better is precisely think about more about hands-on things, of like actually being able to enjoy the process of music making without having to be always in the classroom, but just expanding the creative outlets that are there. I don't know. For me, that was one of the best things the things that I enjoyed the most of grad school, of just being able to play all sorts of music that I never thought I would.
And this is something that I already feel like I mentioned this, but again with Daniel Bolsha at UBC, was that he did so much for us as a guitar studio. Like he organized the Health Arts Society, which was an organization. He got them connected to the guitar studio where we would play concerts for, senior centers and care homes and hospitals and stuff in the area. Many cities have a program like this, but he literally said at the beginning of the year, he had a studio class where he'd meet with us. I don't think it was for credit, and I don't know if he was getting paid for it, but he met with us once every 2 weeks, and would ask us about what we're doing for performance opportunities. How are we promoting ourselves? Check in about chamber music things, like get us involved in Guitar Society stuff with the Vancouver Classical Guitar Society. So he was really leading by example with the students to get us outside of the academic bubble, let's say, or whatever his program was for us, which he had a program for us, as he should, because he's the professor, but also getting us into, real world stuff with other guitarists in our city and other musical organizations and other instrumentalists. And that was such a powerful thing, because a lot of that's not in the job description per se of a professor. They don't have to do that, but when they go that extra effort to do it, it's like, really preparing you for the real world more outside of school, which was very valuable. I think a lot of teachers maybe wouldn't go that extra mile. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's an awesome thing, and I'm pretty sure that you've taken that with you in your teaching, right, for
Yeah.
your students.
Yeah, I've tried
And
to.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's important. Um, of course, it takes a lot of energy, but it's like anything. I mean, that's the problem too with it. Well, not the problem. It's a beautiful thing actually about the Pablo Villafuerte again with the says it should be in the job description. Yeah, okay, maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe that should be in the job description. And actually, if I were to run a program in university, maybe one day I will, or in a conservatory outside of just private teaching, that's probably what I would try to do is to include as part of the curriculum, helping students think through their professional development outside of school, because that's all you have when you graduate, honestly. You have a degree,
Yeah.
but, you know,
Yeah, and like I was telling you at the beginning of the show that of the guitar initiative that I have the opportunity to run here in Buffalo, and a program that we haven't actually been able to do is that here in the area we have multiple music programs. So Eastman is in Rochester, which is not far away from here, and then there's the University of Buffalo, and then there's Buffalo State University and Fredonia, and all of them have guitar programs. And well, one of the things that I want to do is precisely create something like what you were saying in Vancouver, of creating opportunities for people to perform in hospitals, food shelters, like just to go to the community and perform. That will be a very enriching opportunity for the students, because this performance opportunity are for the students of all the programs, and also for the community. We invite more people into our world of the guitar,
mm-hmm.
and we're bringing music to people. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than that. People that usually don't have access to this, and yeah, that's how we break these cycles of stiffness. I don't know. So that's when you were talking about your experience in Vancouver, like, yeah, that's kind of that's one of the projects that I'm really looking forward to be able to do once that the pandemic, that the lockdown starts and the restriction starts to open up. Because it's so important for so many different aspects, and not only for us as performers, but for the community in general. We
Yeah.
complain a lot about reducing audience, but we don't give people opportunity to listen to us. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, it is to some extent. I think that it's also just a product of, like, to to be totally frank, like, there's not a lot of people who are going to go out of their way to seek out classical guitar music without knowing what it is.
mhm.
That's just the way it is. Like, we're not a popular music style in mainstream popular music style. So what that means is that the way we grow our audience is by promoting it ourselves. And that might be kind of a harsh thing to say, but, like, it only is going to happen if all of us put in some effort to try to show it to the people around us who are not already in the circle, let's say, in the classical guitar circle, you know? And yeah, we don't have behind us, a big mass media machine pushing forward what we do. So yeah, it's local initiatives that are going to grow that audience slowly. And that's done by people in the fold already. So
Mhm.
yeah, which it's hard, but yeah, it is what it is. I think I agree with these kind of initiatives are sort of vital for the survival of our instrument. Um, Pablo and Steven are having a whole discussion about our discussion of academic systems here, and it's very sweet. They're anyways, we're not going to read it all out. Wonderful. I'm really impressed and inspired by what you're doing, Ricardo. It seems like you're doing some very cool stuff, and yeah, it's just so nice to see someone contributing so much in their community, and also yeah, pushing forward what the guitar is in their region. That's so important. Do people have any questions? I think we might be close to wrapping up, but if people have questions, they can put them in the chat now. Is there something that we haven't addressed about the CD, or something you want to touch on? Or
Well, I don't know. Like, well, I mean, listen, go online or buy it on Amazon and listen to it, because we're talking about the programming, right? I thought about the programs for this album in terms of pieces that I really enjoy playing and listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, I kept saying that I thought about the program kind of like a playlist in the sense
Mm-hmm.
of like we don't listen to albums anymore, but we're talking about Spotify and things like that. We're always like just listening one piece, one that one, and we got used to listen to very abrupt contrast of types of pieces. So with that in mind, I put this program for people to be able to enjoy to the album as a whole from beginning to end.
Okay.
And so I hope that you enjoy it. I mean, I really enjoy recording it, and I don't know. I'm very happy about it, and I hope that you enjoy it too.
People will. Yeah. Everyone, go listen to the CD lots and listen to it if you can all the way through. Um, Steven says thanks for the stream and conversation, and Elsa about Ganem says thanks. This was lots of fun to listen to. Thank you, Elsa. I'm so glad you liked it. Um, yeah, it's a hard thing. I don't know what to do about this issue of how people listen to music now. Like I've sort of admitted defeat with Spotify being a reality in terms of even though it doesn't pay things. I recently put a whole bunch of my back catalog up on Spotify and got it out there, and I don't know how I feel about it, especially because yeah, I know people are just listening to things out of order, even if I meant them to be one thing.
I mean, to be quite honest, I started using Spotify because of the CD.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to. I refused. I think that the practices are just obscene.
Yeah.
Like uh, but like at the same time, like I feel I was missing out on so much. So
Yeah.
I had at one like it was until I released the album that I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and join the.
Yeah. I just question like, for me, it's a question of like when you're trying to sell a CD, like the hardcore fans who are willing to pay for it are gonna go on Bandcamp or buy it physically from you anyways and give you that money.
Mhm.
I feel like at this point, and so at this point, if you're not on Spotify, you're just missing out on a huge pool of listeners who use it all the time.
Yeah.
Which is harsh because I hate their business practices too. But like, yeah, it's a hard.
Well, yeah, and you have, yeah, it's about the platform, right? For me, for instance, because being an international student, like when I was studying, like and doing that kind of trip back and forth from Mexico to the US and back, I think that I kind of like I was very deeply affected with the fact that I never harvested like long-lasting relationships here in the States, and
Mm,
I lost a lot of my connections in Mexico. And then
mm,
I come up with this album, and I kind of like I'm not as well known as if I would have stayed in Mexico, or if I
mm,
would have just from the start decided to be here in the States.
mm,
And so I appreciate the fact that with a click, you can get the album online and listen to it as many times as you want it. And
mm,
so, like, I mean, I do appreciate the immediacy of Spotify. But
mm-hmm.
I do think that it's just so unfair that all that work that we put into this, like, doesn't translate to any sort of money, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like
Yeah.
that's the point that we're at right now in this industry, I guess.
That's the point that we're at, and unfortunately, people are now trained to expect music on demand for more or less for free,
Yeah.
and not to pay for it. So I also question like, can you stick to your guns and expect full payment before people can listen to something and still expect to be relevant in the sense of, I don't know. I'm not going to try to answer that question, but it's a hard one. Um,
Yeah.
and also, as we kind of all know, performing and teaching are some of the only reliable methods of making money within music.
Mm.
But at the same time, you need to have recordings out there and going out all the time for people to be aware of you, to hire you for those things. So, anyways, it's a whole catch-22. I'm not going to solve that problem on the messy desk. It's too messy here to figure it out. Pablo Villafuerte says, can't elaborate deeply, playing League of Legends right now. I see you also are a cultured person who listens to streams while playing video games, Pablo. I approve. Anyhow, before we wrap up for real, I want to know if you can say briefly what your vision of the future of what you would like for classical guitar would be. Where do you want our instrument to go? Maybe you've already kind of answered this in our conversation, but if you were to sum it up.
You know, a lot of the work that I do with the Guitar Initiative is community oriented, right? And the reason I think of that, and I approach this initiative like this, is because of what I saw in Mexico. Have you had an opportunity to go to Mexico?
Not yet. I really want to, but I have not yet, sadly.
The reality of the guitar in Mexico is completely different to here, to the
Mm.
States. I mean, uh, the guitar, Mexico and the guitarists are one. You know, you can't take the guitar out of Mexico. You can take Mexico out of the guitar. It's like kind of, I joke a lot about like, you know, you have seen Coco. I'm assume that you have
Yeah,
seen the
yeah.
Pixar. It's that's our story. Like there's a guitar in every house, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and music is such an important part of our culture. And so the arts are socialist, like kind of thing, like they're subsidized by government,
Mm.
and that makes that most of the concerts are free for the public, not for the
Right.
performer, but for the
Right.
public. And it's so impressive to see the amount of people that go to the concerts anywhere. I mean, I have performed in towns that are like 200 people, and the 200 people are there in the
Yeah.
concert, you
Yeah.
know. And because people are like, music, as I tell you, is an important part of life. And when I came to the States, especially in the university, it was very sad to see concerts that would have only 10 people in the audience, like the teacher
Mm-hmm.
and their studio, and that was it, you know.
Yeah.
And part of what I think that would be the future for the guitar, or what I want the future of the guitar to be like, it's just for us to reach to the community, because I think that everybody appreciates what we do if they have the opportunity to listen to it.
Mm.
I know, for, as a matter of fact, that my wife didn't know anything of classical guitar until she met me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and now she knows like so much. I mean, she's actually the main motivator for my repertoire. She listens to something and she said, "Oh, you should play that," and I'm like,
Ah,
"Okay,"
nice. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
I
honey.
go
Yeah.
ahead and practice that, you know. So like she's kind of the one that decides my repertoire
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. But I've heard in multiple places that they talk about the democratization of the guitar, and for me, it's such a weird statement, or a weird phrase, democratization of the guitar, because I think that the guitar is the instrument that it is by essence democratic, you know, in the sense of the American culture. It's the guitar is there everywhere in country music, blues music, you know,
Mm.
Latin American music. It's always there around the world. The guitar is the instrument, not the violin, not you know, it's the guitar. And but I've somehow classical guitar, I think, that lost a little bit of contact with the community.
Mm.
So my hope is that we find ways of reaching out to the overall community, to reach out to the people that are not guitarists, and that we can share this music and be appreciated for what we do. That is beautiful music from the most beautiful instrument, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how palatable it is when it's presented in the right way. Even people who don't know anything about it. And what makes me sad is the number of people who preface it when I introduce them to classical guitar. The number of people who then respond to it by saying, I don't know anything about music, and so this opinion probably isn't valid. Like, there's this perception that like they can't express even enjoyment of it without having to give the caveat that like they're not cultured enough to like talk about it, and that really makes me sad because I'm every time someone says that I'm like, no, 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 you have a pair of ears, you like music, you can give me like compliments or whatever, critique, whatever you want to give, but like just it's for you, it's for everyone to listen to, and so but at the same time, you know, the feedback I get is almost always positive. um, and it is kind of shocking how people outside of the bubble just don't know anything about it, even though it's so great. So I'm with you 100% there. um, Alex Bougie says, all my old roommates used to say they would be sad not to hear classical guitar in the morning when they moved. Yeah, every roommate I've ever had is also like, I'm going to miss your playing, which is always like, really? You're going to miss like Brouwer Sonata 5 at like 50% with the metronome for, you know, for like 6 months? You're going to miss that? Okay, sure. But I think they're being genuine, you know? So,
Yes, they are.
yeah, yeah. Anyhow, wonderful. Well, what a positive, wonderful note to end this on. Thank you, Ricardo, so much for making time to to come on the show.
No, thank you so much for having me here. As I said, like this show has been so important for my sanity during all the lockdown. So it's really I was very excited to be here with you to talk to a little bit about guitar and all these things because yeah, this is a beautiful show and I really appreciate everything that you have done. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for having me here.
Thanks. This has been great, and I hope we can meet in person one day soon, either when you're in
Oh yeah,
Europe or out there.
you'll see one way or another we'll meet.
It'll happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And Alex says, thanks a lot, guys. This has been fun. Practice time now. Exactly. I have some Emilia Giuliani to practice, which is what's on my music stand right now. This has been great, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm doing a little less frequently now that life is sort of moving on from the pandemic slightly, not completely yet. But so there's a bit of a gap, and the next show is going to be August 6th in about a month, and it's going to be Emma Wills, Belgian guitarist. She's awesome, and she's going to be sharing with us some very interesting projects she has going on. So tune in for that then. Otherwise, if you want to listen to Ricardo's CD, Zephyr, you can find it in the description. There's a couple links. Also, subscribe to his YouTube channel, check out his videos, etc., etc. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, we're going to end with the Turina video, right?
Oh yeah, the Sevillana, the Fantasia Sevillana of Turina. Yeah.
Yes. Do you want to say anything about it? I mean, people know this piece, I think, but still.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's this obviously this video was before the recording. Of course, the recording has a much nicer sound quality, right? And this was one of the first videos that I did on the right before the pandemic, I think. Well, I don't remember, but anyway, it's a piece that I really enjoy playing a lot, and I hope that you like it. And it's included in the album, and yeah.
Nice. Right before the pandemic, we went to Sevilla and a bunch of other places in Spain, and I want to play this piece really badly now.
Oh yeah.
That city was just amazing.
Yeah, that opening is just. I mean, this is a crowd pleaser. Like.
Yeah. I feel like it would be fun to play too, though, not just a crowd.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're gonna listen to Ricardo play the Turina Sevillana, and then I will see you guys all in a month with Emma. So stay tuned. Thanks, Ricardo.
Thank you, everybody.